Hello everyone. It's been a while since I last recorded one of these. What is this thing called again? Oh, that's right. The many thoughts I have. It seems I haven't had many thoughts since 2022. Oh boy, oh boy. Well, thank you for joining me. If this is your first time, welcome. Thank you very much for jumping on into my thoughts. I hope you have a good time and enjoy my ramblings of all sorts of different things. I just wanted to sort of start off with a little bit of maybe just a TLDR version of a life update since the last time that I recorded a podcast. Now, the last time I did record this podcast, I should say, was last year. I believe the last one was in April of 2022. And I only recorded about 6 episodes. And it was sort of like me trying something new and different. And I'm not really used to podcasting alone. I usually podcast with friends, and I've got, someone to bounce my thoughts off, and someone's there to help me think of words that I can't think of if it's like on the tip of my tongue half the time, which happens a lot. Unfortunately for me, it happens a lot. But I do enjoy recording podcasts. They are quite fun, to be honest. And I do like talking about all sorts of different things, and especially when it comes to pop culture related stuff, which leads me into the podcast that I actually do record on, which is called a podcast called Fred, by a group of us friends, and we've known each other for many years, and our little collective group is called Fred the Alien Productions. So if you'd like to listen to our weekly updates on nerdy pop culture related news and trailers and reviews, a podcast called Fred is the podcast to listen to. It is weekly. We also live stream it every week, mostly on a Sunday afternoon / evening when we are free, Australian Eastern Standard Time, I should say. But sometimes our schedules kind of clash, and so we have to move it to the next day, which is the Monday evening-ish, depending on everyone's availability. You can, if you wanna hear my voice more than just once every so often, you can hear me and my friends once a week on a podcast called Fred. Plug, all the plugs. So getting back to my life stuff. So since the last time I've recorded this podcast, I've just been trying to figure things out, been trying to find myself, I suppose, and what I want to do with just, my life in general. My mental health has been a bit up and down in the past year and a half, so I've been trying to work on that as much as possible. And I've been working a lot more than I used to. I've been part-time for, I've been part-time for over a year now. Actually, it's coming up to about a year and a half soon that I've been part-time. And no, what am I saying? Oh, I can't remember when I became part-time. But nope, scratch that. This is one thing for those of you who are new here. Let me just say there's going to be a lot of me rewinding myself and catching myself off guard when I say things or I start a sentence and I'm like, wait, no, that's not how I wanted to say that. Or, sometimes I'll slip up on what I'm trying to say because for some reason, my my brain won't. And this is another thing too. I don't know how to get things from in my brain out through voice. Words elude me. So I do sometimes have a hard time trying to think of what I'm trying to say. So if it sounds a bit confusing, or if you feel like I'm sounding a little lost, it's because I am. Only because I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say that makes sense in a way. So apologies in advance for the newbies out there who haven't heard me speak to myself like this. And the other thing I will say is this podcast is more so of me thinking out loud. The whole point of this podcast is processing all of the thoughts I have, but I'm putting it out into the world on a podcast stream. So but this time I have an audience that gets to listen to my thoughts that I have out loud. I think out loud a lot, and this is why I decided to do this podcast. And so I hope you find this entertaining, or you get something out of it. I don't know. It really depends. This is just me rambling on and doing all the things, and sometimes getting off track, which is really what I've already started to do. So let's get back to where I was in my life in the past year and a half. As I was saying, I've been working a lot. My hours have gone up. I've been asking for more hours at work, so that I can, afford all of my luxuries in life, which, includes a lot of video gaming and the things I do for streams and stuff, and just, other things in general, and paying for bills and whatnot, and also trying to move out. So I've been trying in the last year and a bit, I've been house hunting, looking for rental properties, thinking about whether or not it's beneficial for me to rent now, or whether I should go out of my way to, maybe save up a deposit for an actual house deposit and actually just outright buy a house instead of rent. But, there's pros and cons to both, and I'm still working on it. I've also been playing my ice hockey. For those of you who aren't aware, I play ice hockey here in Melbourne, and I play for a really awesome team called the Southern Lights Ice Hockey Club, and they are the first Australian LGBTQ plus friendly club here in Australia, and I'm very proud to be part of the team, part of the club. It's an amazing environment. The people are lovely. You have a lot of fun when you're out on the ice and off the ice as well. So I've made so many amazing friends through playing ice hockey with the Southern Lights. And just at the time of recording, our winter season has ended, and unfortunately, I was unable to play in the final game due to a back injury that I've been trying to deal with for the past week-ish. So yeah, been working on healing myself physically as well as mentally. And so I've just been in a lot of pain for the past week. Essentially, that's pretty much what this past week has been for me. I've been, lower back pain, not great, especially when I work in an environment where, a lot of heavy lifting is involved and a lot of repetitive movements are involved, and standing, and being on my feet for many, many hours. So it does it does kind of strain the back more than what I should be doing, which is, resting it and healing it. However, everything's fine. It's nothing serious. I've spoken to my chiro about my back. Apparently there's nothing bad going on, just some very, very tight muscles. So I just need to work on that and I'll be fine. But at least for the next week, I won't have to be, at least for another week, I should say, I won't be doing any heavy lifting or any repetitive movements at work, just to make sure that I heal properly. So I'm kind of glad that the ice hockey season for now has ended and I have at least, about a month, 3 to 4 weeks roughly of healing time before the summer season starts up. So when I'm playing with the Southern Lights, I'm playing stumbling. Let me try that again. I have been playing with the Southern Lights in a beer league here in Melbourne. For those of you who don't know what a beer league is, it's essentially recreational ice hockey, where you play games and then you have post game drinks. So you have your beer, or for those of you who don't drink beer, you can have cider or a soft drink. Yes, North American friends, we do not call them pop or soda. We call them cans of soft drink, or just soft drink in general, or fizzy drinks. That's what we call our sodas. Just in case you weren't already aware of that. Beer league is good fun. I've noticed how much I've also improved in my hockey skills, which is really good because I can reflect on where I started, which I can't believe I'm saying this. It's been almost 10 years since I started even skating regularly, that is. So 10 years ago, I decided that I wanted to skate more regularly because my best friend was doing a lot of skating herself, and she also decided to jump in on learning how to play ice hockey. So whenever she had a class, I was out on the public rink skating around. Sometimes I'd go over to the rink that she was having classes on and I would watch her class. One of those days I saw her in her class and I thought, that looks more fun than just skating around in circles and just doing nothing but skating around in circles. As soon I then decided the following term I would sign up to the beginners class, and the rest is history, essentially. And now here I am playing at a pretty not an advanced what's the word I'm looking for? Here it comes. It's 10:16 p.m. here in Melbourne, and I've also had a full day of work because I've been up since like 7 a.m. this morning, and I cannot think of words right now. I play at an intermediate level. I don't play at an advanced level, but it's not. So the level I'm playing at is above the beginner level, which is the C1. So C1, C2 levels are more sort of beginner level leagues. And then it goes B4, which is the level that I'm playing at. B3 is a little bit more faster, more intense. B2 and B1 obviously being, a lot more faster, a bit more pro, very advanced games. So, I'm nowhere near those levels. I've only recently in the last 9 months I've been playing in B4. So since January of this year, I've been playing in the B4 level. And I'm actually proud of how much I have, how much I've learnt, how much I have skilled up, essentially. I've leveled up in my ice hockey, if we want to use video game terms. And yeah, just, my skating skills have gotten a lot better, and I'm I haven't, okay, this is sad, but I haven't shot a goal this season yet. This past season, in the winter season just passed, I haven't been able to score goals. However, I have been very proud of some of the assists that I got, which was pretty cool. Especially some that were very unintentional that I was unaware that I assisted on. But there were a couple of instances where we had an amazing setup in our offensive zone and managed to score a goal that way. And I was very proud of us. So it was really, really cool to be able to be a part of that. So I'm, learning all these different new skills as I play. And I am also going to be playing in the summer season, which again, I said the Summer Beer League begins at the end of September here in Melbourne. I did also sign up and hopefully I'll be able to play in a more competitive league, which was the league that I originally started playing ice hockey at, which is called IHV. The IHV tournament, I should say, which stands for Ice Hockey Victoria, which is the state of Victoria's ice hockey. I don't know how to really term it. Like kind of like a body, or like a. It's not really a club or anything, but they oversee everything ice hockey in the state of Victoria. So that's why it's IHV. But then we've also got the IHA, which is Ice Hockey Australia, which oversees ice hockey around Australia. And they have committee members and all that sort of stuff in the IHV and IHA. So if you wanted to play, nationals or anything like that, then you'd be playing under the IHA. But yeah, so IHV is a bit more competitive. It's not it's not recreational, obviously. It's you're playing for a trophy, and there's a little bit more to it in terms of the rules. So the rules are a bit more different compared to Beer League, where Beer League's a little bit more lenient with some of the rules, depending on the level you're playing at. Mostly Beer League is mostly non-checking, and then the more competitive ones, depending on the level you're playing at, generally non-checking at sort of lower levels, but then the higher you go, the more they make checking, or like body contact, I should say, not checking, but just, body contact in general becomes a thing the higher the level you play. But luckily for me, I don't play in levels where body contact is a thing, so I'd rather keep it that way for as long as possible until I am more confident in my skating skills and my hockey skills. So anyway, I have gone way off track, and obviously I really love ice hockey, as you can tell. I did not think I'd be sitting here talking about ice hockey for the last, 10 minutes? Now, going back to what I was saying about my life stuff, if I can remember where I dropped off. I've been playing ice hockey as per usual. And speaking of, playing ice hockey, I got to travel for ice hockey for the first time in my life. And I actually got to travel over to Canada for the Kaha tournament, which is a recreational tournament that is held in Canada, and it was the first time that Australia was invited to be part of it. Now, apparently, the Kaha tournament was supposed to be held back in 2020. Go figure. Unfortunately, as you already probably can tell, it had to be postponed. So didn't happen in 2020. They pushed it for 2021. Again, didn't happen in 2021. They couldn't make it work. They tried again last year in 2022. There was still some issues, so they had to push it one more time and ended up pushing it to 2023. So this time around, they thought, well, since we've pushed it to 2023, why don't we invite some more countries to join us? And we were one of them, which was pretty awesome. And I was lucky enough to travel over there with a group of amazing hockey mates that I've been playing in the Southern Lights with. And so we got to play in Canada, which was absolutely an amazing experience. I never thought I would see the day that I would actually be playing ice hockey in the mother country of ice hockey. And we played in Richmond, BC. The tournament was about 5 days in length, roughly. So we were doing, I think it was like 5 days with a few days of like words. We had a few games with teams that, oh my goodness, why can't I think of the word? You're probably all yelling at me what the words are. So pre the tournament, exhibition games. Jeez, that took too long. we played some exhibition games with some of the Canadian teams that were already there, and pre the tournament, and which was a lot of fun. But it also gave us an idea of how quick you all are. Oh my goodness, you Canadians are fast. I couldn't believe it. Like, we thought we were coming up to Canada to play at, with players that were similar to our level of skill and speed. But we ended up playing against Canadians that have been playing for many, many years. And they're older. And I thought, what? These guys are playing us. They're so much better than us and so much faster. How the heck are we going to keep up with them? Oh boy, that was interesting. That was it was a lot of fun though, honestly. I feel like thanks to the Kaha tournament, I've actually sped up my skating and I learnt a few different skills from it. And I'm so glad for the experience and the chance and the opportunity I got to be able to do that. And that, because I never thought I'd see myself traveling for hockey. I've never really traveled for sports at all in my life. So that was an amazing experience, and I got to make some new friends through that tournament. But post the tournament, I also got to travel Canada a little bit as well, and I got to meet some of you amazing Canadians, and I am so glad I got to meet some of you. Those of you who are in the Discord communities that we are in the same communities of. I got to meet you all. It was so much fun. I am so glad I was able to do that, and I will cherish those memories for life. I will never forget them. And I'm missing a lot of you. I am missing all of you. But the fact that I can still speak to you online and just, have all these different conversations with you all now and having, I think after meeting each other, we all have this special bond now, because even though we've only met once, it's like we've known each other for many years. And in some cases we have, because we've all been talking to each other since 2020, essentially. And it's amazing that since 2020, And then come 2023, I got to meet some of you, and I'm so lucky. I am the luckiest koala to be able to meet a lot of you amazing Canadians. So thank you very much for being amazing hosts when I came to visit you in your cities. So thank you for that. What else has been happening since then? Since I got back to Australia after Canada, my mindset has been a little all over the place. So although I had stopped streaming because I was traveling, when I got back, my mental health kind of dipped a little bit. So I needed a little extra time before I got back into streams. And so it took me a good, maybe another month or so before I decided I wanted to press that go live button. Just because there was a lot of things happening at home that after traveling for a month, when I got back, my mindset had mostly switched to something else, and I didn't know how to handle it. So I tried dating. It didn't work out. Well, at least it didn't work out. Let's just leave it at that. And yeah, I've sort of been a little up and down since then. But I've also been trying to keep myself busy with work, with hockey. I've been thinking about how to improve on my content, where I could put myself into content, how I can, get it going or keep up with it, and what I really want out of it, especially. So that's the sort of stuff that has been going on for the past year and a bit since I last recorded this. All those type of things, I suppose I can talk about in later episodes of this podcast. This is just me giving you all a bit of a life update on how I've been, what I've been up to. And yeah, I think that'll do for now. Before I jump into what I'm going to be talking about today, and I'll just mention the fact that today's episode is and I should have mentioned this probably at the beginning of the episode, but it's fine, just trying to catch up with you all. So, but if you've held on this far, thank you very much for your continued support and keeping up with me and my thoughts. So today's episode is going to be about just me again, more about me. Okay, it's an AKA. Ask Koala Anything. And for those of you who don't know why I've been coined the koala, which I'm pretty sure the people who have asked questions know why I am coined the koala, because most of you do not live in Australia. Actually, no, none of you live in Australia, for those of you who have sent in questions. So that's why you all know me as the koala. And for those of you who are listening who are in Australia, the reason why I am the koala is because I am Australian, to my North American friends. Does that make sense? I hope it does. But the other reason why I'm also known as a koala is because I kind of behave a little bit like one. I sleep more than a usual person would. I kind of sleep a lot. I'm not a morning person, so that's one other thing. I yawn a lot. And I'm cuddly, at least I hope so. And yeah, I'm just a koala. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. So that's why I decided to call it an AKA, so Ask Koala Anything, rather than an MAA. AMA. AKA, AMA. Yeah, anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. But it's also funny because, AKA is also known as. But I didn't want to confuse people with me saying AKA Foolish Fuji or whatever. Whatever the title could have been. So this is just a Ask Koala Anything. This is what this episode's going to be about. But before I jump into that, I want to go into some watchings or some playings that I've been doing in the last, I don't know, month or so. So the watchings is something that me and my friends do over on a podcast called Fred at the beginning of the podcast, where we talk about the things we watched in the past week. So let me start off with the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon Prime. For those of you who aren't aware, it is an amazing show. It's a comedy. There's some drama elements to it. And it's about the main character is trying to be a stand-up comic. And she is a woman in the late 50s, early 60s, I believe the time setting is. And you can only imagine what a female stand-up comic would have been like in that time, where the profession is mostly done by males in that time. And so she's there trying to become a successful female stand-up comic. Her jokes are absolutely amazing. They hit well. And just the show in itself is about her becoming a stand-up comic, but also her family life as well, which has its own little dramas and is also very entertaining. So it's definitely worth the watch if you are interested. There's only 5 seasons, and I think there's only about, 7, 8, 9 episodes per season. I will preface, though, these episodes are roughly about 50 minutes to an hour long each, which is why the seasons are short. But the time flies by when you're watching this show, and I absolutely love it. I'm in the final season at the moment, kind of in the middle of the final season, and I'm a little bit sad that it ended at season 5, but I'm hoping that they have managed to wrap it up in their own terms, on their own terms, rather than, all of a sudden being cancelled and then have this cliffhanger with nothing, tying it all up together, I suppose. So I'm looking forward to finishing off The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I've also been watching a show which I don't know where it airs for most of you in North America or in Europe, but I've been watching Only Murders in the Building, and for us in Australia, it is on Disney Plus. So for those of you in Australia who are curious, Only Murders in the Building is on Disney Plus. It is a crime murder mystery comedy, and it stars Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, with cameos from so many other amazing actors and actresses. I absolutely love this show. It is so much fun. Watching Steve Martin, Martin Short do their thing together is always a pleasure to see. I've also had the opportunity to see those two live on stage here in Australia pre-COVID, I'm going to say. It was quite a few years ago, but I got to go see them, and I went with my dad, and my gosh, they were hilarious on stage together. And I'm so glad that they are still together doing, what they do. They've been friends for decades, it feels. I feel like they've been friends for longer than the Three Amigos, because that's where I first saw them together in the Three Amigos. One of my favorite comedic movies. A lot of fun. Probably hasn't held up very well if you watch it in today's eyes, but still good fun. But Steve Martin, Martin Short together with Selena Gomez, oh my goodness, she is an amazing actress. I had no idea she had that kind of talent. Her character is so serious, and a bit of an introvert as well, from what I can tell. But the show Only Murders in the Building, it is so good. If you can get around to it, please go watch it. It's in its third season. Potentially, this is the final season. It hasn't officially been announced, but it has been in the talks of being the last season. I'm not 100% sure. However, this particular season of Only Murders in the Building, it has some amazing cameos. Not to mention the fact there's some musical theatre involved with this season. So it's actually lots of fun hearing some of the songs that are in here. So definitely worth checking out. If you haven't, please do so. Something that I don't usually do on my other podcast is what I've been playing, because my co-hosts unfortunately do not game as much as I do. So I do not get the opportunity to talk about what I've been playing. However, I do sometimes talk about it in the Discord servers with some of you. And sometimes I'll talk about it on my streams as well. So this past month-ish, I'm going to say. Actually, no. Well, if we're starting with this one, I've been playing Final Fantasy 16 since its release. Still have yet to finish it. Only because the last 3 weeks, I will say. That was a life thing that I didn't mention. I was actually working on a theatre show. So 3 weeks ago, actually no, not 3 weeks ago. A week ago, the last show had been performed, and it closed. And it was Frozen Junior the musical. So I got to work with some talented, very, very talented kids, all under the age of 18, which is why it's junior. And it is a junior length musical. So instead of the usual 2.5 hours that a normal musical would go for, this one only went for 60 minutes. So it's only an hour. And yeah, it was lots of fun to work on the theatre show. I had never worked on a musical before. And this particular production was also the biggest production that I personally have ever worked on, because usually I work on independent theatre with a group of friends of mine from Writer's Block Theatre, who I have mentioned in the past with on my streams and stuff. And I'm usually the stage manager, sometimes the producer, depending on how I'm feeling, and depending on whether they need the extra hands. So before doing Frozen, I was always doing independent theatre. So it was in a lot smaller scale. The sets I usually just set up and leave it, and then run the show, and the actors do everything. So that's the length of my theatre production in terms of me being a stage manager for that. But working on a bigger production like Frozen, this one had a lot more moving parts to it. A bigger stage meant a bigger set, lots of moving pieces, lots of props. I was a wall. I got to be a wall that moved a lot. And, there was a lot of, trickery and sort of like illusions and stuff like that happened as well on stage, which was also a lot of fun to be a part of. And yeah, it was actually quite fun. So I really enjoyed that. So I did that for 2 weeks, which meant that I'd been away from my streaming and content creating for those 2 weeks. But then I needed an extra week to recover from all of that. So I hadn't been playing Final Fantasy 16 for the last 3 weeks until this week when I started streaming again. So we're back into Final Fantasy 16. I believe I am 2/3 of the way through the main story progression. According to what my PlayStation is telling me, I am about 66% complete. So like I said, about 2/3 of the way through of the main story progression. I've been trying to do some of the side quests in my own time. So there's that. And yeah, I'm going to see if I can keep playing that as much as possible to finish it off. I don't think I'll be platinuming this one, even though it sounds somewhat tempting, but not really. From what I've been hearing from other people who have played Final Fantasy 16 and Platinum, that it seems like it's going to take a lot longer to play through. So I'm not the type of person to go trophy hunting, to be honest. But if I love it enough, and if it's short enough, I might go out of my way to platinuming a game. So really depends on the game. So there's that. Thanks to a certain all-in podcaster, Seth, I've been playing Marble It Up Ultra, and I've been seeing some community members over in the All-In podcast Discord server putting up some times, and I thought, you know what, I've got myself a Nintendo gift card that I received as a birthday gift recently. I'm going to use it towards Marble It Up Ultra, so I'm going to play that. So I started playing that. It's a lot of fun if you just want to like turn off your brain and just have fun. It's very entertaining. I'm not much of a speedrunner myself, but I do like having a bit of a challenge when it comes to these sort of games. So I will do my best to beat my own times, give myself some PBs, and then we'll see how we go with some of my friends because I'm playing it on the Switch. If you hadn't already realized when I said Nintendo gift card. So yeah, if you are my friend on the Switch, you'll see my times if you're playing Marble It Up Ultra. If you're not my friend on Switch, then please let me know and I will send you my Switch code so we can be friends and we can see each other's times. And the most recent game that I've started playing is Sea of Stars, which has been a very highly anticipated RPG game that I've been looking forward to. I didn't think I'd be looking forward to it because I'm not much of an RPG player myself. So I ended up playing like, it was like a very short demo when the first demo came out, and I was very impressed with it. So I decided, you know what, I'm actually going to play this day one. Luckily for me, I had an option of whether to play it either on the PlayStation or on the Xbox. Currently, my PlayStation storage is mostly full because of Final Fantasy 16. So I thought, well, you know what, my Xbox, my Series S is just, sitting there. Why don't I just play it on that? I've got Game Pass. Let me play Sea of Stars there. So I've started playing that. And I'm about an hour and a half in, and I'm really loving the story, the art style, and just the overall game itself. Like it's already pleasing me. It's very entertaining, and I will definitely be playing that a lot more. But I have also rolled credits on some of these, on some games. Speaking of Game Pass, I managed to go through Venba, which is a very short game, about an hour and a half-ish. One sitting, very simple. Venba's very beautiful story. It's kind of cooking-based, and it's really sweet, but also a bit sad at the same time. And I did kind of see my own family through that. So, yeah. Venba, rolled credits on that. I also rolled credits on Dordogne. I'm hoping that I pronounced that correctly. That one is also a great story, beautiful art style. I feel like it's like hand painted, like watercolor paint. Very, very beautiful, very screen capture worthy, let me just say. Dordogne, very screen capture worthy. I've taken a few screen grabs of the game. It's actually really good. And the last game that I roll credits on, which I kind of want to 100% if I can, is my first ever Metroidvania game called Disney Illusion Island. And for those of you who aren't aware, I was a special guest on a episode of the All In podcast, and I got to discuss Disney Illusion Island with Seth and with Eric on their podcast. It was lots of fun. Please go check them out. They're absolutely amazing people, and they talk all things Nintendo. Like, what else do you want from them? Please go check them out. But yeah, Disney Illusion Island, great game. Did not think that I'd enjoy it as much as I did, and I'm really, feeling like I want to go back and find all the collectibles that are in the game. This one's a Nintendo Switch exclusive for now, so if you do want to check it out, it is on the Switch, and definitely worth your time. If you like Metroidvania games, please check out Disney Illusion Island. It's very entertaining. You got your Mickey and Friends characters, lots of silly sort of elements to it, which, makes you giggle when you play. A lot of fourth wall breaks, but not really. Like, it's kind of meta. It makes you very aware of the game, that it's a game, but it's still lots of fun. And I think, and just to clarify, Goofy is my favorite character of the 4 characters that you get to play as, with Donald being a close second. Definitely love Goofy, mostly because of his little mechanics. So each character, even though all of the characters do the same thing, their little, their boost jumps, their floating skills, they look different even though it does the same thing. And it's a lot of fun and it's hilarious. And I love Goofy's version of that. So definitely check it out. And yeah, that's what I've been playing. And after 53 minutes into this podcast, I'm only now just getting into your questions. So I hope you've held tight for this. I think I might add in some timestamps so that you can all maybe skip this first half of the podcast. I am so sorry. See, this is what happens. Like I said, I ramble on a lot and I don't know where to stop or where to cut time, and this is what happens on a podcast called Fred sometimes as well, where we end up going a little bit longer than normal, or we end up going off track and then trying to bring it back, and it's very difficult. And then I'm the one who has to edit it. Fun. But it's fine. It's fine. If you've made it this far, good on ya, first of all. Like, I don't know how you managed to keep up. And I can't believe I've actually talked this much already for an hour and I haven't even actually gotten into the questions that you've all asked me. So let's do that, shall we? I'm going to start off with the amazing people who asked me questions over on Twitter posts. I'm not sure how often I'll do these AKAs. So please just keep an eye out. It might be a once a month thing or once every 2 months. I don't know. I'm just going to see how we go. We'll just see how we go. So I'm going to start off with Savoy Prime. Hello, Savoy. Welcome. Welcome to the Many Thoughts I Have. And thank you for your question. And Savoy says, hi there, long-time koala fan here. Question for the show. Why are you still disrespecting Persona 5? Okay, backstory. For those of you who don't know. Let me first state that I never disrespected the game. I did start playing the game. And And I was really enjoying it because of the whole anime aspect of it. It was one of my first RPGs that I started playing when I first got the PS5. And because I'm not much of an RPG gamer myself. So Persona 5 was one of the, I believe it was like one of the monthly PlayStation Plus Essentials before it was known as the PlayStation Plus Essential game, before they brought in the whole tier system. Persona 5 was one of the monthly games available on PlayStation Plus. So I decided to grab it and download it onto my PlayStation. It's a massive game. I did not expect it to be so big. I mean, it's not as big as a Final Fantasy 16, but it's a big game. Persona 5, I started playing, was really enjoying it. It's a turn-based RPG, and I didn't mind that. But I felt like I was getting quite lost in the cities. When you have to run around to get to places, trying to figure out which way I need to go. The map's a little confusing for me. But in saying that, like, the story's actually really good. And the art style I really like as well. So Persona 5 is good. It is good. It's been on the back burner for quite some time. So I haven't played it for a while. I still haven't finished my first dungeon, castle, I don't know what to call it. I'm still with the PE teacher. I feel like I'm towards the end of that story, but I'm still with that sleazebag of a teacher. So I haven't finished that. And that's where I dropped off. I stopped there because of reasons. I cannot say because I don't remember. But it's now on the back burner for the moment. I don't know whether I'll end up going back to it and continuing from that point, or whether I'll end up deleting my save data and just starting again completely. I don't know. But I never disrespected it, Savoy. I just haven't played it in a while. Thank you for your question. I hope I answered it for you. You're probably going to give me some negative comments, but that's fine. That's how we do. Oh my goodness. Next question comes from our very $2 hero. Hello, Seth. Welcome to the Many Thoughts I Have. And thank you very much for your question. Hi there, long time, first time. What are your top 3 favorite theatre shows, musical or otherwise? And if you could work on any one show, what would it be? Ooh, okay. So I'll start off with the first part of that question. My top 3 favorite musical or otherwise theatre shows. I'm going to start off with The Lion King. The Lion King musical production was an experience I will never forget. The way that they choreographed all of the movements, especially when they brought in all of the performers into the actual audience itself. I was actually sitting up in the dress circle, so I could just see what was happening down below in the main on the floor, and I was like, I want to be down there, because you see all of these performers come through the aisles with their puppetry and like with the birds and the animals, like the elephant and the giraffe, and man, these props, these costumes on The Lion King is absolutely gorgeous. It blew my mind. And The Lion King is also the first musical production I ever got to see live. I've never been to a musical theater production in my life, and The Lion King was my first one, and I loved it. I loved it so much, and I'm so glad I got to go see it. I would happily see that again. It was just so good. Absolutely loved The Lion King. My and these top three is not in any particular order in terms of favoritism. It's just the three standouts to me. The next one is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Now, yes, there are some controversies behind the creator of this world. However, I do not agree with their opinions or their thoughts. And I'm going to just go with the you can love the art but not the artist phrase. Because for me, that's true. You don't have to love the artist to love the art. The stories that came out through the Harry Potter series, that was my childhood. I grew up with it. I grew up with the actors that were in the movies. I've read most of the books. I haven't read all of them, but I have read most of them. But Harry Potter, the whole franchise, was my childhood, was my teens, essentially. Like from year 7 right up until after I had graduated high school, I had loved Harry Potter and that fantasy magical world. It was a world where I could dream about, fantasize about even the fact that you could be a wizard or a witch, or, you didn't have to be a muggle. You could play Quidditch. You can storm dungeons and all that sort of stuff. It was a world that I could get lost in, and I loved it so much. And so when the announcement came that Harry Potter and the Cursed Child was coming to Melbourne, I was very excited, ecstatic even, because I've always wanted to see this particular production. Before it came down to Melbourne, I actually traveled to London. So I was in the UK in 2018, and I didn't actually see the show there, because obviously you would have had to book in advance for that. But I actually got to see the theatre that the production was being held at. And I could see the entrance, and I was in awe of the way that they've had the entrance set up. And so when I found out that it was coming to Melbourne, I was so happy that it was coming to Melbourne. And it was a 2-parter. So you actually had to... So I went with my best friend, and we went to the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child when it was part 1 and part 2, where the shows were set on 2 different days. So the Thursday and the Friday. But they did also have the show run in one day, where you had a matinee show, and then there'd be like a break in between, and then there'd be the second part of the show would be in the evening. We didn't end up doing that because we thought it'd be a bit too much for one day. So we decided to go with the split days, which was still a good experience because, after watching the first part of the show, we'd go home, we'd ponder over it, we'd digest it and think about it and process everything that we had just seen. And then when we came back for the second part, the next day, we were ready to go, and we were ready for, all of the answers to our questions, essentially. And it was absolutely amazing. The staging of this show is phenomenal. Like, the fact that they were able to bring magic to life on stage and make it believable. Kudos to the stagehands and to the actors and to everybody who worked on that show to make it look the way it did, because my mind was blown. It was absolutely amazing. I loved it so much. And I really wanted to go again to watch it, like for a second time. And especially when they announced that they were shortening the show into one show rather than two shows. So instead of having a part 1 and a part 2, they just made it one whole concise show, which I kind of wished I was able to go and see what the difference would have been, what they would have removed, and what would have stayed and all that sort of stuff. But it doesn't matter. I've seen it. And I want to keep it the way that I have remembered it. And if it ever comes back again, I would happily go watch Harry Potter and the Cursed Child again. Absolutely. And the third favorite that I will say is more of a recent one, and that's Hamilton. So I first got to watch Hamilton when the live show was pre-recorded. So the main show that had the original cast, with Lin-Manuel Miranda leading the show, when that came to Disney Plus. So when the recorded theater show came to Disney Plus, I heard a lot about it. I heard so many good things about it that I was like, all right, let me check it out, see what it's all about. And I was floored by the performance by this show. Hamilton, I had no idea about this particular point in history and this particular person of history. So it was really interesting to watch something that was not from what I remember growing up. Nothing that I don't believe I ever studied anything about Alexander Hamilton, but it was just interesting to learn about the character through this theater show, and a musical at that. And the only musical show that I've ever seen where the cast is singing from start to finish. There's some points in the show where they have a little bit of just regular dialogue, but for the whole show, it is sung. And I couldn't believe it. Like, this kind of production would have taken so long, not only to put together, for one, so kudos to Lin-Manuel Miranda for that, but also to rehearse it and then bring it to life. I just, sitting here right now thinking about it, it is just phenomenal. The fact that these performers can get up there on stage and sing for the whole show. Wow. Those vocal warm-ups must be intense to be able to last. How long was that show? Like 2 hours-ish? Something like that, maybe a bit more. And I know not all of the performers are on stage the whole time, so it's not like they're singing through the whole show. And so they do have breaks. But it still amazes me that this whole show is just a song. It's a giant song. This Hamilton, it's a giant song. But I loved it. I loved it so much. And then found out that it came to Melbourne with an Australian cast who still had to put on American accents, which that was fine. It was totally fine. They did very well. The performers from the cast that I got to see live here in Melbourne they did a very good job. And it was just so good to be able to see it live after watching it on Disney Plus. So I'm very happy to say that Hamilton is part of my top 3 theater shows that I really love. I need to do a rewatch of Hamilton now. Now that I'm talking about it, I need to go back and watch Hamilton. You know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see some of the musical theater shows that were on stage, like they did with Hamilton. Get a pre-recorded version of that and put it on Disney Plus. How about that, Disney? Why don't you do that? Pop those theater shows on there. I want to see Lion King. I want to see Aladdin. I want to see Beauty and the Beast. I want to see all of these theater productions that you have put out on stage, bring the filmed version of those shows to Disney Plus. That'll get you more subscribers. There you go. Hire me right now. I am joking. But thank you for your question. Oh, wait, hold on. I didn't answer the second part of your question. Oh, my goodness. See, I lose track of things. If you could work on any one show, what would it be? Wow, that's a hard one because there's so many amazing theater shows that I have seen. Some that are not as big and well known as like the Disney ones or the Harry Potter or the Hamiltons. There are some out there that I've seen. Like I've seen a musical called Once, which is I believe it's an Irish. I think it's an Irish-based musical. It's based off of a movie called Once, and they've brought it to life on stage. And that was my first ever theater show that I went to. Once. It's really good. You should probably check that one out. What? Hold on. I'm gonna take a swig of water as I ponder what show I would want to work on. So give me a moment. What show would I want to work on? Honestly, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child would be amazing to see how it all works behind the scenes. After seeing that theater show, after having my mind blown by the magic that was on stage, I really would love to be a part of the stage crew for that show. To see the nuts and bolts of how all of that choreography for the magic worked. Because it looked amazing. So rehearsals would have been very intense, not only for the performers, but also for the stage crew. Because that was amazing. So I'd love to be able to work on that. That'd be so much fun. Yeah, man, the choreography of like especially the like the dueling scenes, they looked amazing, and I would definitely want to see how that all worked. That would have been so much fun to do. Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child would be the one show that I would definitely want to work on. That'd be a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Seth, for your question. I really appreciate it. Our next question comes from Hopdoxy Gaming, aka Delroy. Thank you for your question, Delroy. Hey, Fulia, I'm going to ask, what's your favorite cereal? And do you eat it with milk, yogurt, or dry? This is something more folks outside of Backtrackers are probably dying to know. I'm sure they are, Delroy. I'm sure they are. All right. My favorite cereal. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna answer the second part of that question first. Do I eat it? Do I eat my cereal with milk, yogurt, or dry? Now, really depends on the cereal. Most cereal, I will have it with milk. These days, the type of milk I use is soy milk, unfortunately. I can't have full-fat milk anymore. Not because I'm lactose intolerant, but because of the really yucky feelings I get when I do have full cream milk, especially the bloating. And as my gut doesn't really like it as much as it used to. So that's why I've had to make the change over to soy milk. So nowadays, when I have cereal, I have it with soy milk, which I know a lot of you are going to turn around and shake your head and judge me and all that jazz. And yeah, do what you want, say what you will. I need to make sure my gut is happy when I have my food. So I have my cereal with soy milk. There are certain cereals when I was a kid that I used to eat dry as a snack it was like a snack for recess when I was in primary school. Some of them being like Fruit Loops, or Nutri-Grain, which I'm not sure if North America has the cereal called Nutri-Grain. I think that might be more of an Australian thing. But Nutri-Grain they advertise it as being an athlete's cereal, because of apparently the amount of like iron that it contains. I'm not sure how much of that cereal has iron. I know there's a lot of sugar in it. It's got a bit of a maple flavor to it. It's like a nice sweet sort of a maple flavor, and I really like that sort of a caramelly sort of a flavor. But yeah, they advertise it towards athletes because of the iron, and I'm not sure why. But yeah, so Nutri-Grain is a cereal that I really enjoy dry, as a snack. Fruit Loops is another one. There was another one called Crispix, which are kind of like, I don't know if Crispix is a thing over in North America, but it's they kind of look like what are they similar to? Hold on, I just want to Crispix, Kellogg's Crispix cereal. North America might have them, I think. Yeah, I think that's where it originated. Probably that's where it originated from. But here in Australia, Crispix, well, back in the day when I used to eat them, had an amazing honey flavor to them. And I could eat that with or without milk easily. And that was like one of my favorites, my absolute favorite cereals. And they're essentially just like these squares with a lattice pattern through them, a bit kind of puffy, and it was just absolutely delicious. It was a sugar overload, that's for sure, but it was like one of my favorite cereals growing up. I don't know if it's sold here in Australia anymore. I think they do, but sadly the prices of cereal has gone up a ton. Which means that I can no longer buy my cereals at full price anymore because it's just so expensive. Like a small box of cereal, like I think it's like maybe a 500 gram box of cereal now is like minimum $7, $6-7 for a box, and that's too much. I used to remember when not too long ago that cereal used to be like about $3-4 a box. Now it's over $7 a box for the smallest box, and I'm just like, no, thank you. I'll wait for a sale. So now I wait for them to go down by like 40 or 50% before I go out and buy them at the supermarket. But nowadays, in terms of my favorite cereals, I will generally mix it up. Really depends on what is available, what is on sale, as Sean would say. And I would probably say I go with, at the moment in my pantry, I have Cocoa Pops. I have, what else have I got? I've got Wheat Bix. That's another one. That's more of a blander sort of Wheat Bix is a blander cereal. Essentially, they're wheat biscuits that soak up a lot of the milk. And so from being crispy, they go soggy very quickly. Excuse me while I drink some water. And yeah, so I have Wheat Bix, I have Cocoa Pops, and I also have another box of cereal that I haven't opened up yet, and that's Crunchy Nut, my Crunchy Nut cereal, which I really like as well. But they're not as sweet as they used to be for some reason. Don't know why. But yeah, really depends on how and on what's on sale and what I'm feeling. What was the last thing I had? Oh yeah, I had Nutri-Grain as well recently. I finished that box. I want to go out of my way to go and have some Fruit Loops again. I haven't had Fruit Loops in many, many years. So I'm thinking about maybe getting some Fruit Loops. But yeah, waiting for a sale as per usual. But yeah, I don't know that I have my cereal with yogurt though. No, if I was going to have yogurt on my cereal, it would be with muesli. And even if I did have muesli with yogurt, I'd still add milk to it. Just cause. But there, sometimes I'll have yogurt with muesli topping. So, it's a different variation of that. So sometimes I'll have yogurt, but then I'll top it off with muesli for the crunchy element. And then add a bit of sweetener in it just to give it just to make it a little bit, nicer taste to the yogurt. Yeah, don't have yogurt on my cereal very often. Mostly soy milk is what I'll go with. And if I want to have it dry, it really depends on the cereal. So, yeah. Thank you for that, Delroy. Really appreciate that. And our final Twitter question comes from Hopple. Hello, Hopple. Welcome to the Many Thoughts I Have. And they ask, did you ever hop over to New Zealand? They have great cakes there too, also pavlova. One thing I will mention, the pavlova is there's always a fight between Australia and New Zealand about who owns the pav. I enjoy a good pav, but I don't have it nearly as often as what a lot of other Australians might. Pavlova is more of a special occasion type of dessert. So not often is the pavlova brought out. But the good thing about pavlova is that it's very versatile in terms of its toppings. So you have the main pavlova, which is essentially a meringue cake. It's literally a cake-shaped meringue. It's a big meringue, with a crusty outside, which makes it amazing, and then the soft, silky and sweet inside, which is really nice. And then you can top it off with any kind of like fruits, cream, like whipped cream, custard if you really wanted custard. Mainly fruits though. It's mainly topped off with whipped cream and fruits. Depending on the fruits that are available for the season. Usually it's strawberries and kiwi fruit, which is the classic combination. Sometimes people go with, a peaches and mango sort of a combination, mangoes and strawberry. So it really depends on what fruit is available for the season to put on top of the pav. But to answer your question about New Zealand, yes, I have been to New Zealand. I went to New Zealand back in, I believe it was 2012. No, not 2012. No. That is incorrect, Fuji. When did you go? I think it was like 2011, maybe. It was quite some time ago, my memory is not great. Let's just say. But I do remember going to New Zealand. It was an amazing trip. I had a lot of fun. So went to the South Island to begin with, and traveled around in a caravan. So that was a lot of fun. Got to experience my first international driving experience, even though New Zealand drives on the same side of the road as we do. So that made it a lot easier for me to not have to worry too much about what side of the road to drive on. But there were some rules and etiquettes that I had to keep in mind when driving the caravan, especially down in New Zealand in the South Island, where a lot of the roads can be only two-way, so two-way lanes, and sort of narrower roads, especially because there's a lot of tourists and people driving through those roads. So as a driver of a caravan, or any heavier vehicle than just a regular sort of a car or a four-wheel drive, the etiquette is that if you are driving slow and there are cars behind you that want to overtake, you have to you literally have to pull over to the side and let them pass. And then once they've passed and it's safe to do so, you can then continue back into the lane and drive, which was really, really interesting and a little weird at times for me, because I at the time went with friends, and only two of us were driving. And when it was my turn to drive and I had to be the one pulling over, I'm just like, okay, pull over to the side, let them pass, and then be like, all right, do I have enough time for me to speed up and keep going? All right, let's go. So that was a little weird doing that. But it was, a great time nonetheless. Traveled around the South Island for about, how long was it? About 9 days. So 9 days around the South Island. And then went up to the North Island and travel. And when we got to the North Island, we didn't hire any kind of vehicle. We were like, we'd rather be driven around this time around. So that's what we ended up doing. We ended up doing like coach tours and walking around, mostly taking their public transport systems. And just, overall, it was amazing. I will say that when I was in New Zealand, at the time, I hadn't watched any of the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit films. At the time. I have since then watched the movies. I have not read the books, but I have watched the movies. And I did enjoy them. But at the time when I traveled over to New Zealand, I actually hadn't seen the movies. I know, sacrilege. How could I? I went over to Middle Earth not knowing what Middle Earth was. But yeah, when I got there, my friend, who was the bigger fan of the Lord of the Rings franchise, got us to do all these set tours and location tours. And although I had no idea I won't say I had no idea. I knew what the movies were about. I knew what some of the scenes were. The tour guides were very informative. They had folders with pictures of screen grabs of certain scenes of where these locations were filmed at whenever we drove to them. So that was really interesting and intriguing. I then when we got to the North Island, which is where the Hobbiton set is, so the main place of Hobbiton, got to walk around there. When I saw Hobbiton, I instantly knew that it was from the movie, even though I had never seen it I'd never seen the movies itself. I've seen the scenes that have the Hobbit houses, the Hobbit holes, I should say. So when I saw them, I was very much in awe of this particular place. And I really I really loved just walking around the Hobbiton set, and just, getting the opportunity to, take photos in front of some of the Hobbit doors. Got to drink some cider at the, oh my goodness, I've forgotten the name of the little pub that is in the movie. I'm just going to excuse me while I Google. Like I said, my memory is not great. What is it called again? Oh my goodness. Is it the Green Dragon? The Green Dragon. Thank you very much, Google. Yes, we got to drink some cider at the Green Dragon, which was amazing. And yeah, it was a great experience. I'll never ever forget going to New Zealand. It was so much fun. And I would happily go there again. And since I have watched the movies after coming back from New Zealand, I watched the movies because I was forced to. One of my best friends, who is still my best friend, was like, "You went to New Zealand and you never watched the movies. We need to fix this right now." And she made me watch, every time I visited her, she made me watch the extended versions of the films. Oh my goodness. They were so long. They were so long. I don't know how you people do it. And ever since then, I have not gone back and watched those films. I've only ever seen them once. It was great story, great lore, sets, the scenes, like everything about it looked amazing. But I can't see myself watching them again. I mean, I probably can. Eventually, I'll end up watching them again. It just depends on when. But yeah, that's the only time I've only seen each of the movies once through. That also includes the Hobbit movies. I haven't read the books, but I do own them. They are sitting on my bookshelf in their shrink wrap, collecting dust. I will read them at some point, I'm sure. But then again, I probably won't. Who knows? Wow, you are all learning a lot about me in this episode. Didn't think I'd disclose this much information, but that's fine. Hopple also has a second question. Did you visit Tasmania on your doorstep? Great wildlife. Okay, so contrary to what a lot of people might believe, not all Australians go visit all of their states. Just like Americans. How many of you Americans have visited all of the states of America, you know? I have not visited Tasmania. I haven't traveled down there yet. They are the state next door to us, Victoria. So there's Victoria. Tasmania is the most southern state of Australia. We are the second southern state. So, but my sister's been to Tasmania, and I know a few other people who have been to Tasmania, and they said it's absolutely beautiful over there. However, because it's the southernmost state of Australia, it is also closer to Antarctica, which means it's a lot colder down there. So even during their summers, it doesn't quite reach the same kind of summers as what Melbourne does, or as what some of the more northern states or the more eastern states, the more western states do. Because Tasmania is closer to the South Pole. Excuse me, dry throat. My goodness. I've never talked this much by myself for this amount of time. Hence why lots of dry throats. Doesn't help that I've also got the heater on in here because it is quite cool. It is a balmy, where is my degrees Celsius? Because that's what I'm going to tell you what it is. It is in degrees Celsius. I don't know this Fahrenheit thing. It is right now 9 degrees Celsius at the time of recording, which is 11:38 p.m. And apparently, according to Google, it feels like 7. No, it is 9. Just tell me what it is, not what it feels like. If it feels like 7, then it's 7, not 9. Please. But I guess I can do the conversion for you. For those of you who don't subscribe to the Celsius way of life, 9 degrees Celsius is 48.2 degrees Fahrenheit. There you go. There's your conversion. And if you really want to know the formula on the conversion, it is degrees Celsius times whatever fraction in brackets plus 32. I don't know what that means, but okay. And then you get your Fahrenheit. But I'll let you do the math on that, or just use Google like I have, and that's fine. So yeah, I have not been to Tasmania. I would love to visit Tasmania at least once. In terms of states that I have visited around Australia, I have visited all of the easternmost states of Australia. So that includes New South Wales, the Australian Capital Territory, which is a territory, not a state, and Queensland. So they're the 3 easternmost states and territories that I have visited. And I have also visited Western Australia, but I've only been to Perth. So I've only been in one little small area of the giant western state that is Western Australia. I wouldn't mind checking out the more northern areas of Western Australia, like up to Broome. But apparently it gets very warm over there and dry. But I wouldn't mind checking them out. They're also, I believe, 3 hours behind compared to us. So, yeah, they have their own time zone. I've partially, I can technically say I have actually been in South Australia, which is where a certain House of Mario podcaster lives in South Australia. Our South Australian podcaster, Nintendo podcaster, may I say, where iDruby. He lives in South Australia. Technically, I have been to South Australia. I did, however, only cross the border into a small town in South Australia. And I was only there for a few hours. But then I came back to Victoria. I was more in the rural areas of Victoria, so more north. So more north to where Melbourne is. And yeah, I technically crossed the border. So I did go to South Australia. I can say I was there. I just wasn't there for very long. Never been to Adelaide, though. I have never been to Adelaide. That is a city I would like to also see as well. Apparently it's known as the City of Churches, but I don't know. I've never been there, but I don't know if that's changed. Drew, please let me know what Adelaide is like, and I will come and visit. Where have I not been? So apart from Tasmania, I have not been to the Northern Territory, which is a territory, not a state. Again, and I think Northern Territory is the only Northern Territory and Tasmania are the only 2 that I have not visited. But even though I've technically been to South Australia, I actually need to do a proper visit of South Australia. So one day I will visit Adelaide at some point. I just don't know when that will be, but we'll see. But yeah, thank you very much for your questions, Hopple. I hope I've given you an idea of my travels here down under. That was part 1 of the Many Thoughts I Have Ask Koala Anything edition. Please stay tuned for part 2, coming to a podcast feed near you. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe to the Many Thoughts I Have podcast on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible. You can also find me on Instagram and X at Foolish Fuji. And of course, for video content, head over to youtube.com/Foolish Fuji. Subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to be notified of future goodness. Remember to look after yourself and your mental health, and happy thinking, friends.